All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and good evening. Thank you. All right, tonight, awesome episode for you guys. We have a special guest, and fittingly so that I am playing this blues riff here because tonight we have my good friend and yours, and of course I've got to get everything adjusted here. But anyways, she's a good friend of everybody on SingSnap. I've known her for quite some time, so Blue-Opal will be calling in momentarily, and we will be featuring her. This will be her first actual interview here on this program, so I'm very excited to have her on. She's going to be discussing a lot about her background, her music, much of where she grew up, the environment, how it influenced her and how it didn't. Several other cool little gossipy things. Can't wait to sink my brain in. So, nonetheless, guys, we will be having her on shortly. Meantime, I want to say that I'm glad everybody out there in Florida has survived yet another mess of a storm. I know that for a lot of you guys out there, Argent, the sun had come out, you guys are doing better now, and things are good. So we like good here on this program. And yeah, guys, we're trying to get it more consistent with times and days, but for right now, I don't care. We're winging it, we're having a good time, and we are doing, believe it or not, a lot of research. I keep saying this every time because it is the truth. There's a lot to this, and we are learning new things all the time, which is cool too. Alright, so I want you guys to pay attention closely to this program because it is very cool. So she should be calling momentarily, and then we're going to play some clips from a couple of her new recordings as well. Meanwhile, before we get into all of that stuff right there, alright, let me just take a quick gander here. Now, guys, I know a lot of you are unfortunately so mentally vested into things that are going on around you. I think that we all get sidetracked, and it's very easy to allow negative feelings and thoughts and emotions just to come into our body. So, and then once they start creeping in and they get up here, up, and I think this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look. Hello, thank you for calling. How may I help you this evening?
Yes, this is Blue calling.
Blue!
This is Denny.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, there she is. We were just talking about you and playing a little whiskey blues. I don't know if you can hear that, but it was, yeah, I was just doing a very nice intro before you had called.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You are very welcome. So as I was explaining to our listeners, let me just turn my background down a little bit here. I was just explaining to them that this is your first ever interview here on the program. So
Yes, it is, and I normally prefer to stay behind the scenes, but someone twisted my arm.
See, that's what friends are for, right?
Okay.
Instead of, listen,
Feedback's for hell, baby.
instead of giving you a push, I give a little twist, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It keeps the blood flowing. So, obviously, you, myself, a bunch of others, we all have a really good relationship out there, and as many people, especially on SingSnap, know that a lot of us met through the platform via SingSnap, and quite a few of us actually became, very good friends, and we had all built some really good relationships, and this is why it's so important that I stress to everybody that music can actually do a lot, and it can really bring people together. I think John said it best, Blue, that music is a universal language, really, that nobody argues about, right? So.
Absolutely. I'm right there in agreement with that. Yep. And no matter what the argument is or whatever, if everybody would just put down their weapons and just start singing and playing a song, I think we'd all get along a lot better.
Right, exactly. I mean, as a matter of fact, before we get into, asking you your questions about your music and background and stuff like that, I literally was just giving my spiel about, how it's very easy for the negativity and things, the anger and everything to creep into our lives now, especially with everything going on. I know I have quite a few buddies that are just so vested with this midterm thing, the politics, the negativity, the inflation, everything going on. And as I explain to people, try not to let that fester. I know it's hard because we all at one point may be facing different calamities, from whether it be financial, physical, health, whatever, but it's easier to let that stuff manifest inside of us, right? As opposed to being positive and trying to keep a mentally good attitude. And I know it's difficult, so I appreciate you taking the time, because I really want to pick your brain. Now, many of you out there already know who Blue is. You know that she's essentially the queen of blues on SingSnap, so...
Oh, stop.
Well, I mean, come on.
But thank you. I'll accept the compliment, okay?
Who does not...
Yeah, like you're Mr. Elvis. You're the Elvis of SingSnap, too, okay?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
These younger...
Let's have a little applause going on here, okay? Get that applause thing going on. Yay, for both of us.
And that is special thanks to... our buddy John, by the way. He actually mailed that to me. Can you believe that? I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. He asked for my address.
Wow.
Yeah. And, sort of hesitation, I gave my address. And it was only a couple of days later I received this little applause button. It's really cool. He goes, Denny, I think you can use this for your shows. I'm like, that is awesome.
He's pretty cool. He's really cool. Then not change subject or whatever,
sure.
But just let me just say that him and I have some kind of commonality, if you will. He lived up in D.C., kind of like when I did, and he played some of the clubs up there that I attended or went to, and I think there was one called Blues Alley.
I'm sorry, it was called what?
Blues Alley.
Oh, okay.
And it was right under the going into Washington. It was right under the bridge, and it was really a cool place. And he said he played there several times, but of course I don't remember. But it might have been on an off night when I wasn't there. But he's been to some places and clubs that I used to go to, and it was just really cool for me to find that out about him and him about me. And we talked about DC and all the great places and stuff, and It's really a cool town, especially when you're flying in at night. All the city lights are lit up, the monuments and everything. It's just like, oh, wow, you can feel the power. And that was when I was a young girl, and it just really struck me. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that about Argent.
Oh, no, that's cool. So both
he's really
you
cool. Yeah.
and him played at the same venue.
Yeah.
And now you guys, all right, so let's get started with this. So prior, I mean, obviously you and I live in entirely different states, as well as many other people, Dwight, Argent, Hope, all these guys, Army Brett, everybody. But the thing I find unique is that everybody, you just mentioned, you and John have more of a commonality, but for the most part, everybody kind of has what's the word I'm looking for? Some type of a connectivity, right? And you can usually tell. It's different. Like, it's not like, I don't know if I can explain this the way I'm thinking it. Okay, so usually, let's use this just as a perfect example. So when people go online and they're looking, say, for a date or the love of their life or whatever, right? Or they're on social media, they're chatting and stuff. and they end up chatting with people, but the bond is different. This, what I find, is with SingSnap, like when you and I befriended each other, it's different. It's a different type of feeling or a connection. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, that you get with certain people on this platform. It's like you feel a good connection, like a trust type of a friendship, even though nobody's met.
It's safe for me. It's safe. Yes.
Okay,
I like
safe
it.
is the word. Safe is the word.
Yeah. Until somebody comes and starts haunting you or, following you, and then you got to kind of do something about that. But other than that, that's happened a couple times on SingSnap, but we took care of it. But for the most part, everybody seems to be in understanding that, we're here to sing. We're not here looking for a relationship unless you want one.
Right.
But for the most part, it's a different feel about it. You're right.
Now, Blue, let me ask you this. Do you find that, well, first of all, how long have you been a member on SingSnap?
Oh, wow. I'd say maybe 2011.
Oh, wow. Okay, you've been on quite some time.
Or even earlier. And then I stopped and I dismembered myself, or became no longer a member. And then your records seem to go in some kind of file, and then some of them you cannot retrieve back, so I had to start all over again. And so I've stayed pretty true to being a member at this point.
Now, do you attribute that...
It's been a while.
So when you went hiatus for a little bit, because I know I did the same thing, but when you went hiatus for a little bit, was that just because you kind of just lost interest in music, or you just kind of took a break from it?
Yeah, I guess I took a break from it, and I had other things going on. I think I was working 2 jobs, and I couldn't really put the effort into it that I wanted to, and I just kind of let it go for a while, and then I picked it back up and said, okay, well, I've got some time now, and I retired, and I decided, like, this is what I want to do, as crazy as it is.
Yeah, but retirement's good, though, right? I mean, because now, I know a lot of people have come out of retirement, obviously, but, so did you miss it, like, when you were away? And I understand, listen, priorities, responsibilities, that takes precedence, but when you were away, I know for myself, I missed it. I missed music for so long. Now, for you, when you were sort of, like, away from everything, what did it feel like? What did music allow you? Actually, you know what? Let me start off with this, because to kind of lead up to it. So you mentioned earlier, actually, before the program, a little bit about your background. So let me ask you this, right? Just for those who don't know. So your background. Now, obviously, you're very prominent in the blues. But how did you get started in music? What is your background? Let's just start from there so people can get a better understanding of who Blue-Opal is.
Okay. Well, I really had no interest in singing growing up as a child until I guess Michael Jackson hit the scene and his brothers. And with that, I remember sitting in front of the TV and thinking, wow, he's so young and he's out there singing and they must be making money. Why can't I do this?
Right.
So that was the impression that he made upon myself. And then my father had a beautiful singing voice, and so did my aunt. And it runs in the family. Well, I'm not exactly along those lines of how they sound, but I am who I am. But the blues just seem to resonate with me, and I can let loose more so with the blues and give it my own style, if you will, than what's originally recorded. I change it up a little bit. Maybe that's against the law. I don't know. But that's just how I am to make it mine. And my grandmother played the organ. My aunt played the piano. She always sang, and I was always around music, put it that way. But I never thought that, later on in life, I would be on SingSnap or trying to sing.
Right.
But, yeah. And I did sing somewhat in high school, but it wasn't really, fabulous. But I was in the choir or whatever with the rest of the group. So, and it's just kind of like, in the back of my mind, I go, well, this is pretty cool. And then you know how you drive down the road or whatever, you've got your arm out the window and you got the radio blaring and you're singing or whatever too, like, oh, I'm cool, look at me. But that's about how it all started. But it really came to fruition when I got on the SingSnap and I saw all the various songs that could be sung and all the people that were on there. And I go, well, if they're doing it, so can I. So blues is what stuck with me.
Now, prior to SingSnap, did you ever go out and, sing publicly and stuff like that? So you mentioned a couple of venues and stuff.
Okay, yeah. I started doing karaoke where my parents lived. And I enjoyed that so much. And it's just like once I got on the stage and put that mic in my hand, I just felt like another person. And I wasn't shy any longer. But in college, when you had to get up and do an impromptu speech on a subject that you were given, do you think I could get up there and do that? But if they gave me a mic in my hand, I could have done it very well. But something about being an entertainer is what I really resonate with, and I really love it. I'll never be good at it, but I do what I do, and if they don't like it, people, just don't have to listen. I don't care. Because I've seen other people up on stage at karaoke that, who can't carry a tune, but you still clap for them, okay? And you give them that respect. So it is what it is.
Now, see, isn't that ironic, right? Where, and you're not the first. I do it all the time. I say it all the time. I just heard you say it. So we all say, we're not good enough. Especially when it comes to our own judgmental attitude about our talents or, critiquing ourselves. Now, obviously for those who know you, who have listened to you, who are on your inner circle, your fan club, your friends, now that's quite the opposite, exactly, of what others' opinions are of how you sing. And you can tell that, obviously, I've heard you sing numerous times, but your range, as I mentioned before when I first did a highlight on you, that it's so complimentary to what you're doing, and you stay true to yourself. Like, there's so many people out there, I think I've mentioned this as well, that struggle to really accomplish singing. And, it's not picking on them. It is what it is, right? But you have a natural ability, especially with your blues. It's just like, matter of fact, I commented on the Steamroller Blues and how you were able to sing that song.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think we all have a very disgusting way of complimenting ourselves to make it to the point where we don't give ourselves enough credit. And I think that comes along with the humility that one has. Because there's many people that I've seen, even, on SingSnap, who are just the opposite. Heck, I just did a feature the other night. I did an episode. It was on America's Got Talent. And some of these people that come on thinking they have talent. And I'm like, why would you embarrass, belittle, humiliate yourself. And it's not to put people down, but if you're a plumber, be a plumber. Don't go out trying to be a dentist. You know, stick to what it is that you're good at. And if you want to become good at it, right, then get good at it before you go on national TV and making a jackass of yourself. I don't know if you watched the episode, but oh my God, that woman, she shot an arrow at that dude's throat. Did you see that? The thing was on fire. Like,
oh, yeah. I couldn't believe it missed.
Yeah, it missed and hit the guy.
It's the 15 minutes, the 15 seconds the same.
See?
You know, like, look at me. I've been on TV 15 seconds. I had 15 seconds they gave me. They didn't run me off. Okay, I made it 15 seconds.
That's right.
But
that's right. They got that 15 seconds.
I don't know. So they'll never be called back.
Right? So, but let me ask you this. Now, many of us have siblings, right? Now, what about, your siblings? You had mentioned that prior as well. So, brothers, sisters, stuff like that. Sibling rivalry and everything. How did that influence or not influence or impact you? Because it still happens even as adults. So what was your challenge or not with siblings?
Well, basically, what was the question again?
Sure. No, absolutely. So we all have, some may have more siblings than others, right? But at least 90% of us have siblings. Now, growing up, did having siblings influence you? Did it make things harder, easier? Was it impactful in your life in, say, a positive way, negative ways? And did you guys have like a lot of sibling rivalry? Did that affect your music?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it would have been better off if I was the only one born. But, yeah, it would have been a whole lot easier. But it did work out that way. Just to give you a little bit of back up a little bit. My father was English, and my mother came from France, and they met on a Lonely Hearts magazine or newspaper ad, and he was in New Jersey and she was in France, and they exchanged letters, and then she came over to America and met him, and that's how that relationship started.
Oh,
but
cool.
yeah, but I'm one of 5 children. I have three sisters and one brother. Now, they're like we're 3 different families. The first 3, my brother and my other 2 sisters, older sisters, we're 7 years apart, and then I come 7 years later. The first 3 were like a year apart, and then 7 years later I come, and then 7 years later my younger sister was born. So we each experienced my parents at a different time in their life, and were treated differently than each. Yeah. So there was a lot of jealousy, because when I came along, things were better than when the first 3 were born. And I got more things than they did, and I had it better. And then when my younger sister came along, she was the baby, and she got spoiled, but she was left on her own a lot too. But it just seems that the rivalry was there, and I grew up with the first 3 and myself in that house, with a lot of chaos, a lot of emotional turmoil, and a lot of visual abuse. And I think it made me crumble a lot of times to see what I saw. And I said, I can't wait to get out of this house. But the first 3 children, my sisters and brother, went off to college, and then I had the house to myself. But then we moved to Florida, so it was just me and my little sister. But there was a lot of stuff that went on when I was younger that I didn't need. I was left alone a lot, left home in the dark. We got robbed. I walked in on a robbery.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and to this day, they make fun of me because I'm so skittish or scared or whatever. You know, I lock all the doors in the house. I lock all the windows. And, you know, it's because of this, the way life was,
Right.
life happened for me. My younger sister I saved my younger sister. She was drowning. I saved her. I did save my brother. He had a bad reaction to some medication. I happened to be there. So I guess my purpose was to be the middle child in a way, to help the older siblings as well as the young siblings. But I don't really like being in that position. I'd rather just been the first child only. But we get through it, but you carry these scars still. And when you get together with all of them again, it's the same pecking order. It falls back into the same pecking order, and you pick on each other, and it's not healthy. And some of us are not talking because it turned very toxic for me. And I'm, 68 years old, and I don't need that in my life. I could not get rid of it when I was younger because I had to live under my parents' roof or whatever. But now that I'm on my own, I don't need to have that relationship with them to treat me the way that they have treated me recently.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I am with that. So I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I've come to terms with it. I pray for, their happiness and all the goodness or whatever, but don't come knocking at my door.
See, now isn't that, I mean, I have, a couple of siblings, but, we didn't, well, of course, my lifestyle growing up was much different, but that's for a whole nother time. But what I hear a lot too, especially when I used to help certain ones out with different things that they would be experiencing. I don't know, back then I was a magnet for that stuff, but I didn't mind because I love people. So, but my point was, what I had experienced and learned is that, like what you just explained, some people will have such experiences like you mentioned, right? And of course, later down the road, whether we realize it or not, it affects us, even as adults. It can make the difference between doing something responsible, irresponsible, our relationships, our job choices, careers, whatever it is, that stays stuck in our subconscious, right? So when you experience these things growing up, and then when you're faced with a situation such as you were, where you literally had to save your sister's life and your brother's life, that at some point has to have an impact on people, I would think. And then when you have that rivalry, as you just mentioned, there's still that pecking order. There's a lot of people that I personally know who kind of, they didn't turn out so well, let's just put it that way, because they couldn't distinguish the differences between adulthood now and childhood then. You see, they still held on to that anger. They still held on to that hurt, that resentment. And what's cool that I'm hearing from you is that you kind of just took that and said, okay, well, can't change it. It's done. However, I wish you guys the best. I hope that you have a very successful and happy lives. But, moving forward, I'm 68. I don't want to deal with the BS anymore. I don't need to deal with the BS. And I think you're one of the very few, Blue, that is able to do that. Because unfortunately, a lot of people, it just destroys them. And I find this to be true as we get older. It's almost as if, like, we are going backwards.
Backwards, exactly.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, and they keep bringing up the past of what all the things that I was a troublemaker, that I was hard to take care of. They didn't want to take care of me. I should have been retarded.
Wow.
that it just keeps, you know, like I was difficult to deal with, and it was all of this. I was always in the way. I didn't mean to be. I was just in the way. Forgive me for living, but I find out that my personality, basically, I've become adaptable. I'm independent. I'm a people pleaser, put it that way. Rebellious. I feel left out a lot of the times, but I'm a peacemaker, and I feel like I really don't belong to this society or this earth, put it that way. I'm just passing through, man.
You know, that is so funny that you say that. Not funny, haha, but funny in amazement to me, because when I was speaking with Doc, you know, he was saying some similar things, a lot of similarities, and of course, if you listen to that, you know, his childhood wasn't really so far off. And the amazing thing is that you take what you have now. It's kind of like, I used to tell people, you know, sometimes, right, we're all given this major Lego set, and it's got a bunch of blocks in it. And
yes.
there are some blocks or pieces that are missing. So we have to pretty much construct using what we have, and then we have to build our life off of what we were giving. Now, you can take those pieces that are missing and you can call it a total loss, which is what a lot of people do, unfortunately. Or you can figure out how to work with what you were given and what you have to deal with. And I think that in itself is unique, because it sounds like not only are you resilient in that way, but do you feel that, and I'm asking this because I went through a lot of crap myself, but you feel that it made you, or allowed you rather, to be a better person, not only for yourself, but for others? You feel that going through what you went through built the character and who you are today? And do you think that if you hadn't experienced those troubles, do you think that you would be different today? Does that make any sense?
Well, yeah, I can tell you, good psychology there, but I can tell you that, you know, if I hadn't I would have wished not to have gone through a lot of it. I didn't need to see it or experience it. A lot of it has just scarred me, and self-confidence is not there like it should be at this particular age, time in my life. But, you know, I'm working on it and becoming more authentic to myself. And I'm married I found a really wonderful man after a second marriage, and he's been very supportive, and that's what I needed to be grounded, because otherwise I'm up in the skies. But he keeps me grounded, and we talk about things, and but I think those experiences I could have done without a lot of that stuff. But I've tried to talk to them about it. They don't want to hear it. So I'm left with it, harboring it within inside. And, yeah, I've gone to counseling and stuff to get rid of it. So I'm a better person today for trying to dump it and get rid of it and figure out who I am and what direction I want to go. So, I'd rather have not experienced a lot of that.
Sure.
And,
Yep. No, and you know what? And I think, too, that I can usually tell people, especially when I hear them singing, like for you, for example, and I know I brought this out before, that do you, and again, this is just my guess, my stab at it, because you and I have never talked about this, but do you feel that with your music, your singing, right, do you feel that when you are singing, and I know for me it's certain songs I have more emotion invested to it, but when you're singing, do you feel that that is your, like, that's kind of your therapy, your release? Because even to this day, right, they still don't listen. They're still ignorant towards certain things, whether it's blaming or pretending things didn't happen. But for you, with music, because I can hear it when you sing, I hear a lot of emotion, just a lot of rawness in your vocals. So is that, Blue, is that your way of dealing and coping with what you've had to deal with, and even the struggles as adults that we all have to deal with things now? And is that what you do, is just pour everything into your music?
I do. I find a song that the lyrics I can resonate with, and that makes it even better for the audience to listen to, because I like to draw them in. But there's a song like Lambert, Miranda Lambert,
yes.
the House That Built Me. OMG, that song right there did it all for me. And the first time I sang it, I could hardly get through it. I kept at it, and finally I was able to sing the song without breaking down in it. But yeah, I find songs that emotionally strike me, and I hope that the audience, will feel it as well. And I think that's what makes a hit, when you can get the audience to come into the song with you and feel it, and feel the emotion, the passion, or whatever it may be. And to me, that you've got a hit.
And so,
did I answer that question? I'm
yes.
sorry.
Yeah. Oh no,
Okay.
absolutely, 100%. So when you were growing up, right? Did you know or not know? I think you may have touched on it, but so when you were growing up, and I know I went through it, but I used to say that, and I'll tell people, I'll never forget it. It rings as clear as a bell to me. I remember just sitting, I was like 15 and a half years old, essentially homeless on my own. And I was sitting in a park in Plastow, New Hampshire, this old town I used to live in. And I always remembered just knowing someday, somehow, that I would be up on stage singing or doing something musically. Now, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't even know where the hell my next meal was coming from and all that stuff. But I just had a gut instinct. And back then, I wasn't a great singer by any means. I couldn't hold a note in a bucket. But I just knew, right, that the music somehow, back then, it was going to alienate a lot of what I was going through. Did you kind of feel the same way growing up, or did it start really hitting and affecting you in your early adulthood?
Actually, it really started maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's when, like, boom, everything just, like...
Yeah, in my earlier years, I was too crippled, and I was too insecure and too shy, and just hiding behind furniture just to stay alive, okay? Yeah, I didn't start until maybe 10, 12 years ago on karaoke. And then I went into SingSnap, if that makes any sense. But
wow.
And I really felt the connection, once I got the mic in my hand. And it would be a dream to do something, musical, but I was supposed to be an airline stewardess. Okay, everyone, my family said travel. But that, after the plane went down in the Potomac in Washington, I said, do I really want to to be an airline stewardess? So I changed, direction in my life, but I really didn't start singing until, 10 or 12 years ago.
So, well, that's amazing. So, you mean to tell me that prior to that, you really didn't do any vocalization, no vocal training, nothing? This was something much later in your life that you just said, hey, you know what? And you picked up a mic, and then from that point forward, you were just kind of hooked. So all of this that people listen to, like, matter of fact, I'm listening to one of your songs now in the back end, this was recent?
Pretty much, because, like I said, growing up, like the environment I did, the turmoil and everything. It was just no time to sing. There was no happy. Okay, a lot of it was that I was dressed pretty. I was always dressed up like a little doll, but just sit in the corner and be quiet. Don't say anything. Okay, just be quiet. And that's just the way I was brought up. And now that I've gotten older, brothers and sisters don't like it when I verbalize. And it's just like, well, where is this coming from? And I go, it's from all the years of being told to be quiet.
Yeah,
so now that I have an opinion,
right.
They don't.
And nobody
they don't
wants to hear
it.
Right. Well, you had mentioned too, prior to the show, about the status quo, about being seen and not heard. So is that what you're referring to now? Is that like?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I was dressed up like I said. My parents at that time, had a better situation in their jobs and stuff, and I had more, and I got better dresses in the first three, and went to parties and stuff. You try to socialize. My mother sent me to different ladies' clubs or whatever for girls or whatever, and. I was more of a tomboy because I grew up on a farm, so it's not like I really wanted to be the lady, but I had to act that way. So, it's pretty much, be seen but not heard.
That's kind of on the lines of another Melissa Lambert song, Mama's Broken Heart.
Yes, I love that one too.
Right? So,
yes.
In there, she's saying essentially the same exact thing, but of course, this one she's talking about the relationship and, dot your I's, cross your legs, blah,
cross
blah, blah,
your
blah.
legs.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this is, now I didn't know that, and I've been friends with you for quite some time, and I didn't know that you were kind of a doll that was put on a shelf, essentially, and just, look pretty, shut your mouth, don't ask questions, don't question things, right? Right.
Go out and play or whatever, just go away or just be quiet. So that's what I did. And then later on in life, my parents passed away, and then I didn't like what was happening with what the siblings were handling it, and I vocalized my opinions, and boy, did I get my lips torn off. But, so they were surprised.
Did you get along with any of the siblings now?
I get along with my brother. My brother has always been a good brother. I can actually say that. He's been awesome. Supportive. He's always watched my back. But, and my younger sister. The other two, not at all. So it's not like I haven't tried. It's just like I was a problem for them to take care of while Mom and Dad worked. Okay, I was a problem for their life.
So you were more or less an inconvenience, to them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Cloth,
so, that's why one said, I'd be better off if I had been retarded, and that just did it right there. So I said, of all the things to tell a person, come on.
Well, and what's sad about it too, Blue, is that, with everything going on, I think people now are so elated with trying to be, better than the next person, or having the greatest, the best of this, that, and the other, right? Where people have literally lost focus in hindsight of truly what's important until it's too late. And you mentioned earlier on that you lack confidence. Now, had you not shared any of this with me, truth be told, you wouldn't be able to hear that in your music. So, given the fact that this didn't happen until later on in your life, because you have quite the selection of what you do sing, your diversity...
some good, some bad. Some stick, some don't stick. But the blues is what, I really, really feel in my bones. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Oh, quite all right. Who is your favorite blues artist?
Oh, well, that's an easy one. And I think you could guess it. It's B.B. King.
Yeah, well, I knew it, but some people don't, so I wanted to just double check on that. So B.B. King, what do you like about B.B. King? I mean, aside from what most
I just love his style and his confidence and his swag and all of that
swag,
put together
in
his voice. I just like to listen to the man. I really do. So, I mean, there's another great other artist too, but him I just really kind of go back to. If I need a song at karaoke or whatever, I'll always resort back to one of his songs because, I can do it well. When I'm feeling good.
Of course. Now, who is now? So, if you were to say. If you were to have the ability to, say, sing anybody you want, right? Would your choice still be B.B. King, or is that just somebody who's been impressionable for you?
Oh, no. If I could sing anybody that I wanted to, he still would be the one. I mean, Ella Fitzgerald, she's good too, but I can't come close to her. And what's the other lady's name? Oh, wow. Darn. But anyway, I can't. How about Pink Cadillac? Who's saying that one? Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's great too. But, okay, now that you mentioned this, okay, Joan Jett. Joan
Jett, really?
Joan Jett.
Really?
I can relate to that woman. Can't play a guitar, but I love her style and her roughness and just her grit.
So, I mean, Joan.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That threw me because Joan Jett, she's. Well, you know what? That actually would make sense, right? Because that falls in line, really, to what you just explained about, what you were going through and stuff like that. So Joan Jett is kind of like the rebellious Blue-Opal side.
Yeah, there you go. You got me pegged now. You finally found me. Yeah.
All right. Give a round of applause for Denny.
It took 68 years for me to find who I am.
Awesome. And the B.B. King is more of the sensual, just being relief, stress-free Blue-Opal.
Yes. You got it. Yeah, he's just fun to do. I mean, I can let loose and do that. But Joan Jett's a little bit more uptight and, gray and just down and dirty, if you will. So...
Now,
Huh?
I said, I have your page open here. Now, so I'm going to give you 3. I know you don't have a lot of time, so we'll wrap this up for you. But before we go, I really want people to really take a listen to this. Now, one of my newest favorites that you just did. Now, of course, I'm not a big holiday fan. I don't really get into Christmas and all that stuff. I do like the prettiness of it. I do like the gatherings, the lights, and everything else. It's just warm and cozy. But I also like to, for example, so you did one of my favorite songs. We were discussing this earlier, which was Steamroller Blues by Elvis. Now this, what people need to understand, is this comes from the album Elvis Live Cuts, or the tracks Elvis Live Cuts. Now the differences between what I'm going to play right now versus how the actual song was sung is that the way Elvis did it, in order to repeat that song in that style, you almost, for me, almost have to sing a carbon copy of the way he did it. Now, the way you did it, which we're going to play right now, is much different. And for those,
That's me.
but see, this is where it would definitely throw people for a 360 when you say that you're lacking confidence, because this is what I speak of, Blue, when I tell people that the difference between music and what really people can accomplish with or without. And for example, this is your version of Steamroller Blues Elvis Live Cuts. Take a listen to this, and then I want your opinion on it, because I'm going to ask you something about it.
Here I come, baby. I'm gonna roll all over you. Well, I'm a steamroller, baby. I'm about to roll all over you.
Please, now, I'm actually eating gummy worms right now, so I apologize, but
steamroller, baby.
I can love these gummy worms.
Right.
Now, the way you're singing this,
I'm gonna inject your soul with some sweet rock and roll.
hearing it's much different somewhere else, huh?
The woman's lost her mind.
I'm a singer mixer.
But I like it. I like it because it's not what you, no, but that's the unique thing about it, is it's not something that you would expect. All right, for example, hold on.
Oh, I'm a demolition derby. Oh, a healthy hunk of steaming junk.
See, now in this particular verse, okay, I know you're laughing because you feel embarrassed because you're hearing yourself. But,
Yes, I know.
but,
You wait, buddy.
but it's all good. I love it because, listen,
I
this is stuff like, in that verse, when Elvis was doing it, for example, I'm gonna roll all over you. It's almost in some parts, it's almost a power ballad song, and then in some parts, he's obviously higher up, whether he's singing in a key of C or F, whatever. But my point is it's a concert song, and to hear the way Elvis sings this song, then to hear how you kind of, I use the word downplay it. It's when I heard this, I actually, truth be told, was looking for the version that you were singing. Meaning, in other words, there's like 6 or 7 of them, right? And I played each one. I'm like, wait a minute, no. Like, that's not what she's saying. And then I did it, and then it took me literally 5 plays, each individual track, to realize, wait a minute, she's singing it differently. I thought it was a keyed down version.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what does, because, again, my ear is trained.
So I can roll all over you.
Yeah, like this is just unheard of. Nobody does it like this.
Ooh, yeah.
It's like,
That's a secret. I'm not from this planet, I'm telling you. Anyway, yeah. I just do it the way I feel it.
see, but that's awesome because you have that ability to have free vocal range, and of course, you're not sounding.
I'm a steamroller, baby.
So like this is up. This is
I'm about to roll
so much
all over you.
higher than what you're doing it. And again, you kind of dummied it down a little bit in those terms where the way I sing it is the concert style version. And this song, believe it or not, there are some notes in there, they're not easy to hit. But the way you sang it, I honestly thought that somebody had uploaded a entirely different, new, bluesier version, because the original of this, I forget who originally did it, but this was out way before Elvis did this. And it was much like the way you sang it. It was very, it was slowed down. The key obviously was much, much lower. The tempo obviously was like half a step here, half a step there. So it wasn't even like what you're hearing Elvis do. It was very close, and that's why I kept looking. I'm like, no, it has to be different. But then again, like I said, it took me about 5 plays before I realized, wait a minute, she's just singing it. She's downplaying the song. And I even tried, I think I told you this, I tried to downplay it the way you did it. I personally couldn't do it. So my hat's off, because that happens to be one of my favorite ones that you just released recently that I thought was just stellar, outstanding job on that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And I've heard you sing it as well. And I love how you have captured Elvis in that particular song as well.
Well, thank you.
So,
I appreciate that.
My hat's off to you, too.
And see, so Blue, in closing, all right, because next time we do an interview, we're going to kind of go way off base, and we're going to talk about some weird stuff that we were actually discussing before. But, you know, because I know that, you know, you have seen a couple things in your lifetime that you can't explain, nor can I, and my ultimate goal is to get to the bottom, or the best that we can, and just kind of put common sense behind things, if possible. And maybe, who knows, maybe we can be the first to crack this unsolved mystery. Who knows? But that's what makes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
So we got a long ways to go, right? But that's what makes fun.
Let me know. Just let me know, and I'll be ready.
So, in closing, what is it that you best like about SingSnap and the people who you now have befriended on SingSnap? What do you think is the best attribute about being involved with SingSnap and the people in it?
To be honest, you.
Aww.
I don't remember how we connected, but you have really done a lot for SingSnap and for a lot of the singers, and I'm trying to find singers out there that would want to be on your show and to get them highlighted. And if there's an agent out there listening to one of these SingSnap members,
amazing.
You should make it happen.
They are amazing.
Make it happen for them.
They are amazing.
No, actually, I think it's you pretty much. I mean, I enjoy everybody else out there, but you've been the best.
Well, I appreciate that. I truly do. As a matter of fact, the feeling is mutual, because I remember when I first was on SingSnap, and I don't think I had about one person maybe every once in a while listening to me. And then I never forget, you said, you know what? I'm going to take this song, I really like how you sing, and I'm going to share it with my fans. And then from there is essentially through you, really, is how I got to meet everybody else. Because,
wow.
If you remember, you said, I'm going to share you, as if like I was this little wrapped up gift, right? Like a box of cookies.
A nice little gift.
That's right.
I want to share with everyone.
I was like this box of cookies that Blue was going to share with everybody in the family. And she kind
and they're happy that I did.
Yes,
I get a lot of comments about you still. You know, songs that we've duetted together. If there is such a word, duetted. But anyway.
It's a word now.
Yes.
And yes, speaking of duetted, we definitely have to do a couple more duets and stuff like that. I just truly enjoy. For me personally, I can tell you that my experience in the best, yes, 100% hands down, meeting you, becoming the friends that we are today, meeting everybody else, and just having that support. Even if like sometimes you and I will talk about different things. Like the other night we were discussing about, different experiences, like whether it's, paranormal things we can't explain, but even fun talk, goofy stuff. To me, that is priceless, because believe it or not, it's supporting each other in a way that you get to laugh, right? You get to share your stupidness of whatever it is that's being thought. There's no judging. Like, nothing here is judgy. Nobody's judging anybody. Nobody's critiquing, and it's a different environment, I would put it that way. And for me personally, it has been an honor from day one since you and I befriended each other. You know, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And now that we have this going on, it's even funner. Is funner even a word? It is now. So we're going to use funner and duetting.
It is now. It's the funnest.
It is the funnest. Yes, it is the funnest. So,
yeah.
So what I'm going to do right now is I am playing this as the outro, which is another one of my favorites that you just recently recorded. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Blue-Opal. This is the Christmas jazz version. And for everybody out there who will be watching this show, we want to thank truly from our hearts none other than the Queen of Blues herself, Blue-Opal.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate her so much for being on here and for taking her time with us to share everybody. And Blue, until we discuss and talk and sing again.
Okay.
You take care of yourself.
Take care.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Have a good night.
Have yourself a
All right, guys. There you go. That was Blue-Opal as promised.
Make the Yuletide
I deliver. But I would say I don't.
From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Yes, they will.
I really like how
Here we are.
she did this one. Right? It's a very pretty song. I love it. And guys, that's one of the other things too, that being as honest as Blue and I were with each other, that is the honest truth. And there's many of you out there who I feel the same way with others, that today is times are difficult for everybody. And I think that if you can lean on people, even if you're not getting anything physically resolved, or maybe your problem's not solved right away, but the laughing, the communicating, the sharing. I can tell you that, again, just from having this interview with Blue, I feel 100 times better because we were able to connect and share things. And even though this is a show, it doesn't matter. It's evident what music can do, not only for yourself personally, but I mentioned the other night how you can literally affect somebody for the better and how you can inspire other people simply by sharing your talents, by singing and sharing that, and coming on here and having an interview with me. All the more better. So guys, I want to thank you so much. Until the next time, please, as always, be safe, treat others kindly, and treat yourselves kindly. And most importantly, take care of yourselves, guys. Nothing is worth getting so upset that you go to bed with an anguished heart. Tomorrow, it's a new day, it's a better day for you, for all of us. So I thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart, guys. We're going to keep this show going, and we're going to get it out there. So please, pass along, subscribe, share, copy, link, post. I appreciate it. Till then, guys, God bless. Thank you very much.
Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Little Christmas. now.